What was its most ingenious invention? You have to personify it to ask that question. You have to imagine evolution as a tinkerer in a garage, a blind, thoughtless, impossibly patient tinkerer. One who keeps every mistake and every success. One who throws billions of creations at the wall every second just to see what sticks. This tinkerer has no goal, no blueprint, no concept of better. There's only one rule in the garage: whatever works, keeps working. Whatever fails goes on the scrap heap, and over 4 billion years, the things that stuck have built up. They form a tower of complexity, a web of interconnected dependencies, so asking for the most ingenious invention is tricky. Is it the foundation of the tower? The spire at the top? The mortar holding it all together? There's no right answer, but it's a good question. It forces you to look at the whole sprawling project and try to find the turning points. The moments where the rules of the game changed forever. A good place to start is with the most basic problem of all. The problem of just being a thing. How do you separate yourself from the rest of the universe? How do you create an inside and an outside? Before you can have life, you need a container for it. You need a bag to hold all the messy, complicated chemistry. The solution was the cell membrane. And it is so simple, it's almost stupid. It's a wall made of fat, specifically a double layer of molecules called phospholipids. Each molecule has a head that likes water and a tail that hates it. Drop a bunch of these in water, and they automatically arrange themselves. They form a sphere with the water-loving heads facing out toward the water and in toward the watery guts of the cell. The water-hating tails get tucked in the middle, away from it all, forming a greasy, oily barrier. That's it. That's the invention, a self-assembling, flexible, semi-permeable wall. It's not a fortress. It's more like a bouncer at a club. It keeps the general chaos of the outside world out, but it has doors. It lets the right things in, like food and water, and lets the wrong things out, like waste. It's the simple act of drawing a line. This is me. That is not me. Every single living thing we know of, from a bacterium to a blue whale, uses this exact same basic technology. A fatty bubble. Without this, there is no life. There's just chemical soup. So is this the most ingenious invention? It's certainly the most fundamental. It's the patent on which all other patents are based. But maybe it's too simple. Maybe it's just the box the real invention came in. So what happened inside that box? For a long time, not much. Early life was just floating around eating whatever chemical energy it could find. It was scavenging, living off the scraps of a geologically rich planet. This was not a sustainable model. The food was running out. Life was facing its first great energy crisis. The tinkerer's solution to this was a game changer. It was a piece of molecular machinery that could tap into an unlimited energy source. The sun. The invention was photosynthesis. The idea is beautiful. Take sunlight, a little water, and the carbon dioxide that was everywhere. Use the sun's energy to break the water apart and stick the carbon dioxide together. The result? Sugar. Pure, life-giving energy, and a waste product. The waste product was oxygen. At first, this was a local solution for a few weird bacteria. They were called cyanobacteria. They figured out how to eat sunlight. It was a neat trick, but it had consequences. They were so successful that they started pumping that waste product, oxygen, into the atmosphere. And for the rest of life on Earth at the time, oxygen was poison. It was corrosive. It ripped other molecules apart. These little bacteria, with their new invention, began to terraform the entire planet. They caused what we call the Great Oxidation Event. It was the world's first mass extinction, caused by the world's first major instance of pollution. Life that couldn't handle oxygen died out or was forced into the shadows. But the tinkerer doesn't care about mass extinctions. The tinkerer just sees what works, and the organisms that survived this apocalypse learned to use the poison. They evolved ways to breathe oxygen. Respiration is basically just photosynthesis in reverse. You take sugar and oxygen and break them down for a massive burst of energy. Oxygen, the poison, became the most potent fuel source life had ever known. So photosynthesis didn't just solve an energy crisis, it fundamentally changed the chemistry of the entire planet and paved the way for a new kind of life. A bigger, more energetic, more complex kind of life. All the animals you see, including us, are here because of that waste product. We are living off the fumes of an ancient bacterial invention that has to be a top contender. It's an invention that remade the world in its own image, but there's a problem with success. When something works, it makes copies of itself. For billions of years, life did this the simple way. It just split in two. Asexual reproduction, it's a great strategy, it's fast, it's efficient, and if you're well suited to your environment, you make a perfect copy that's also well suited. It's a biological photocopy machine. The downside is that you're stuck. If the environment changes, you can't change with it except by a rare, random mutation. You're making the same car with the same engine over and over. If a new kind of road is built, your car might not be able to drive on it. And a disease is like a new kind of road. A virus or a parasite that figures out how to crack your defenses can wipe out your entire genetic line because you're all identical. The Tinkerer's solution to this was messy, inefficient, and dangerous, but it was brilliant. The invention was sex. Sexual reproduction is the opposite of a photocopy machine. It's a shuffling machine. It takes the genetic code from two different individuals and mixes them together to create a new, unique combination. Most of those combinations will be duds. Many will be worse than the parents. But a few might be better. A few might have a new defense against that parasite. A few might be a little faster, or a little stronger, or a little better at finding food. Sex introduces variety, and variety is the raw material that natural selection works with. Without sex, evolution moves at a snail's pace, waiting for lucky mutations. With sex, it's a whirlwind. It's a constant experiment. Every new generation is a new roll of the dice. It's an incredibly costly invention. Think about it, you have to find a partner. You have to convince them to mate with you. It uses up energy, it exposes you to predators, and you only pass on half of your genes. From a purely selfish genes perspective, it's a terrible deal. But it works. It works so well that almost all complex life uses it. The reason is that the world is not a static place. Predators are always evolving, prey is always evolving, parasites are always evolving. It's a constant arms race. Sex is the invention that allows you to keep up. It's the R&D department of biology. It doesn't create a specific tool, like the cell membrane or photosynthesis. It creates a better way to invent new tools. It is, in a way, evolution's invention to make itself better at its own job. But that's a level of ingenuity that's hard to beat. So now we have cells, we have energy, and we have a way to change and adapt quickly. What's next? For a long time, life was a single-celled affair. Little bags of chemistry floating around, doing their own thing. The next great leap was getting these individual cells to work together. The invention was multicellularity. This is a much harder problem than it sounds. It's not just about getting cells to stick together, it's about getting them to cooperate. And not just cooperate, but to sacrifice for the greater good. Think about your own body. You are a community of trillions of cells, but they aren't all the same. You have skin cells, muscle cells, bone cells, liver cells. They have all specialized. A muscle cell has given up its ability to do many things a single-celled organism can do. It can't go find its own food. It can't reproduce on its own terms. It has one job to contract. And it will do that job until it dies. Even more, most of your cells have agreed to die. Your skin cells are constantly dying and being replaced. The cells in your gut live for only a few days. This programmed cell death is essential. It's how you grow from an embryo, it's how you get fingers instead of webbed paddles. Cells have to die on cue to sculpt the body. This is a huge evolutionary puzzle. How do you convince a cell whose entire biological imperative is to survive and reproduce to kill itself for the benefit of the whole? How do you stop them from cheating? Because cheating is always an option. A cell can decide to ignore the signals from its neighbors. It can decide to just start dividing endlessly for its own selfish benefit. We have a word for that. We call it cancer. Cancer is multicellularity breaking down. It's a rebellion of the individual against the collective. So the invention of multicellularity wasn't just about sticking cells together. It was about creating a system of governance. It required new inventions for cell-to-cell communication, new inventions for sticking together, and new inventions for policing the system and killing off cheaters. It's the evolution of a society, but at a cellular level. This invention opened up a whole new world of possibilities. With specialized cells, you could build bigger bodies. You could have muscles for movement, nerves for sending signals, stomachs for digestion. You could build things like teeth and claws and wings. You could build a plant that reaches for the sky. You could build an animal that hunts. The entire world of macroscopic life, everything we can see with our naked eye, is a testament to this one invention. The decision of single cells to give up their independence and form a team. So now we have a complex body, powered by the sun, capable of adapting from generation to generation. What's the final piece? What allows an organism to adapt not just over generations, but within its own lifetime? The invention is the nervous system, and its crown jewel, the brain. At its simplest, a nervous system is just a way to connect sensation to action. A simple creature touches something hot, a nerve fires, a muscle contracts. The creature pulls away. It's a simple reflex. It's a biological wire. But the tinkerer didn't stop there. The wires started to clump together. They formed processing centers called ganglia. And eventually, in one group of animals, a big one formed in the head, the brain. The brain is not just a bundle of reflexes, it does something much more profound. It builds a model of the world. It takes in information from the senses light, sound, smell, touch, and it constructs a simulation of reality inside your head. And it uses that simulation to make predictions. This is the key: prediction. A creature with a simple nervous system can only react to what's happening right now. Or a creature with a brain can predict what's about to happen. A rustle in the grass might mean a predator is coming. The smell of rain might mean it's time to find shelter. The brain is a future-making machine. And it learns. If a prediction is wrong, the brain updates its model. The world didn't work the way it thought. It adjusts the wiring. This is learning. It's a way of adapting your behavior in real time without having to wait for your genes to change. An animal can learn where the best food is. It can learn to avoid a new predator. It can learn to solve a problem. This ability reached an absurd new level in one particular lineage of apes. The brain got so big and so good at modeling the world that it started to model things that weren't even there. It started to think about the past. It started to plan for the distant future. It started to model the minds of other apes. What is he thinking? Does he know that I know where the fruit is? And it started to model itself. It developed an awareness of its own existence. Consciousness. This is where the metaphor of the tinkerer starts to break down. Because this invention, the conscious brain, is the one thing that can look back at the whole 4 billion year process and ask the question, what was the most ingenious invention? It's the invention that allows life to understand itself. It created a new kind of evolution. Not genetic evolution, but cultural evolution. The evolution of ideas. An idea can be shared through language. It can be improved upon by the next person. It can be written down and passed on for thousands of generations. A good idea can spread around the world in an instant. This is a speed of adaptation that genetic evolution can't even dream of. We use this invention to figure out agriculture, so we didn't have to hunt for our food. So we use it to build cities, we use it to understand the laws of physics and split the atom. We used it to create art and music. We used it to cure diseases that our own genes couldn't fight. We are, in a very real sense, a species that has started to take the wheel from the blind tinkerer. We are actively directing our own evolution, for better or for worse. So what's the answer? What was the most ingenious invention? The cell membrane was the invention of identity. Well, it created the individual. Photosynthesis was the invention of energy. It powered the entire planet. Sex was the invention of creativity. It sped up the process of invention itself. Multicellularity was the invention of cooperation. It allowed individuals to build something greater than themselves. But the brain and the consciousness it produces feels different. It feels like a final step. It's the invention of knowing. It's the part of the machine that has woken up and is now looking at the rest of the machine trying to figure out how it works. All the other inventions were just means to an end. The end was survival and reproduction. They are brilliant solutions to engineering problems: how to make a container, how to get power, how to adapt, how to build a body. The conscious brain is a solution to those problems too. It's an incredibly effective tool for survival, but it also seems to be something more. It created things that have no obvious survival value. It created wonder. It created curiosity. It created the desire to know the answer to a question like this one. Maybe the most ingenious invention is the one that allows the universe to become aware of itself. The one that allows a collection of stardust, forged in the heart of a long-dead star, to sit here and reflect on the long, blind, stumbling journey that brought it into being. Or maybe that's just the answer a creature with a brain would come up with. We're biased. We value our own greatest trick the most. Perhaps the real ingenuity isn't in any single part. It's not the membrane or the engine or the R&D department or the cooperative or the computer. The real invention is the process, the whole thing, the algorithm of life, the simple, brutal, endlessly creative process of trial and error, repeated over billions of years. A process with no mind that somehow produced a mind. A process with no goal that somehow produced a creature that is obsessed with goals. The most ingenious invention of the blind tinkerer might be the garage itself. The rules that allow such complexity to emerge from such simplicity, the fact that it works at all, that anything sticks to the wall, that we are here, sitting on a pile of successes 4 billion years high, able to even ask the question.